Commissioners meeting at 5:20 this Wednesday, May 2nd. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And let's see, Dr. Vadona, you haven't led us in the pledge for a while.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. Well, we're going to open this call to the public. See if we have any call to the public by any chance, Letty? We don't have any calls to the public, so we're going to go ahead then for our public hearing. Right now, we're opening up for the public hearing on the 5-year action plan of 2018 through 2022. Would anybody from the public like to come to the podium and say any comments? We'll even take one of the regular people here that wants to be a citizen, wants to say something. That's okay. You can come up and say something. Seeing none, I guess. Does anybody else in? No comments at all. We'll just go ahead if that's the case. Or Mr. Director, do you have anything to say?
No, I just want to go on record that no comments were received by our office.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Would you like to explain a little bit along the 5-year plan, or Alex, would you like to?
Commissioner
I
Rojas.
think we should at least state what the 5-year plan is.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Commissioner Rojas, members of the Board of Commissioners, the 5-year action plan is a document that needs to be submitted to HUD on an annual basis. And it talks about the projects that we as a housing authority will undertake for the next 5 years and relate it to the capital fund grant. In other words, roof replacement, parking lot paving, gymnasium, any modernization projects. And they're also tied to an estimated cost amount as well. So we go year by year starting in 2018. We're also estimating how much money we're going to get because we really don't know. And so we take an average of what we have received in the past and kind of use that to allocate to the projects. This requires a 45-day comment period, which ended already, and then subsequently we need to have a public hearing, which is what we have tonight. We gathered some input from our RAB, or we met with the RAB, and we presented our resident advisory board, and we presented this plan to them. We gather a lot of input from our maintenance staff because they're really out there in the trenches looking at the properties and see what needs to be replaced, what projects need to be undertaken. So that's what it is. So we cannot spend any capital fund money outside of this plan. It has to be a project that is mentioned in this plan. If it's not on this plan, it would need to be amended by the Board of Commissioners as well.
Okay. And Mr. Martinez, you're very satisfied with this plan?
Correct. Like I said, the main thing was to gather input from the RAB, because they're the ones mostly living in those units, and our maintenance staff, which again they do the day-to-day maintenance on those units. So they're able to tell me what each project and each unit needs, and we kind of build that plan accordingly.
Thank you.
I am satisfied to answer your question.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Okay, seeing no other comments or questions, we're going to go ahead then and close down the call to public hearing, and we're going to go with number 5 on the housing resolutions. 1 on it, which is consideration and possible action of Housing Resolution 2018-05-04, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Nogales Housing Authority approving and adopting the 5-year action plan for 2018 and through 2022. So again, it's something that we called out at the hearing about, and we have a motion to approve?
So move it.
Okay, second. Open for discussion. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, do we need anything from any of the, everything's fine, all the commissioners? Okay. Considering that there are no further questions, we'll call for the question, and all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, any nays? Seeing none, motion carried unanimously. Okay, we go to number 2, consideration and possible action of Housing Resolution 2018-05-05, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the annual independent audit prepared and submitted by Yeager and Boyd LLC for Nogales Housing Authority fiscal year ending March 31st, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move it.
Okay, second. And open for discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Martinez, there was a finding from the auditors that had to do basically with the accountant.
Commissioner Varona, the finding was related to a stake on the pension liability number on our financial books. It was miscalculated. So it was corrected at the time of the audit, but obviously that's too late. So they wrote us up for it. That was the only finding. HUD did request, because this audit goes to HUD after it's conducted, and whenever there is a finding, they require an action plan to avoid the same finding the next fiscal year. And so we already prepared and submitted that to HUD to make sure that that number is correct before the financial statements are produced for the end of the year.
And the accountant is from where?
Alabama.
That's what that's the thing I don't understand. Why are we getting an accountant from Alabama when we have people in Arizona?
Correct.
I just don't understand. And they messed up, and now we have to do a lot of extra work because they messed up. That's all, Mr. Mayor. I just want to bring that up. That we hire an accountant all the way from Alabama.
Yes, thank you, Councilman. Commissioner Henderson.
Now, why was the auditor from Alabama hired? Who hired him?
We're under contract with that accounting firm till the end of the next fiscal year.
But who hired him? Who decided to get somebody from Alabama?
It was through a procurement process back in 2015. So the previous administration at NHA solicited bids, and they selected them as the lowest one at that time.
I believe they've been here before that. I remember Councilman Diaz and myself, when I was a councilman, went up there and we talked to those Alabama boys about that. That was when they were #1 in the country, and so they've been around for a while. It goes before that.
And it could be the last time it was actually procured. It was in 2015.
Okay.
So we'll be soliciting bids, and perhaps, hopefully, we can get somebody who's familiar with housing authorities.
But if the commissioner would want to know when, I guess you could find the information, though, when originally they came on board for the
We can certainly look
housing,
into that.
For future reference.
And just as a note, we're also using their software to manage our housing authority stock of housing. So if we make a change, when we make a change, it will be a significant change, not only because we're changing accountants, but we're also changing our software system, which can be done. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that.
And you do pay extra for the software.
That is correct.
It isn't a part of the account.
No, it is not.
That's the extra.
We could use their software in somebody else's account.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so go ahead, Councilman Lucero, or Commissioner Lucero.
That's one.
That's okay.
So we, as the commission, hired the firm.
Yes, correct, because you
So-
approved the contract.
So if we have anyone to blame, it's ourselves.
I'm not saying that. Correct, the board does hire, because they approve the contract,
So if this is a national firm, they've got accountants everywhere, or is it just all out of?
they're all out of Alabama.
So
Lindsay
we
South.
have no
And they do-
ability to get them to pick somebody out of Arizona?
I think we will be able to answer that question once we go out for bids again. The last time, from what I gather, there were only 2 bids received for those services, and Lindsay does work a lot with housing authorities. That's what their specialty is.
If we did this, we'd also probably have to look at software package
We
as
will
well.
have to.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Commissioner? Any other questions from the Board of Commissioners? Oh, okay.
Question,
So we're,
question.
thank you. Thank you.
But who keeps track of basically the accounting? You know, they submit all the numbers, but who in the city or in our process takes a look at what they submit?
So basically, that is the responsibility of NHA management. And the FDS that was submitted to HUD had the wrong number. So what we put in place this time is a quality control checkup through our accounting manager to ensure that all the numbers are reflective of, or are accurate when they are submitted.
Back then, there wasn't this checkup.
Right, and part of the problem, Commissioner Maldonado, is that we go off last year's, so Arizona State Retirement System produces numbers sometime after the fiscal year ends, so after June. Our fiscal year begins in March. Ends in March. So we don't have access to the most recent information because it's coming up in the next 4 months. So we have to go back to the previous the available numbers, which are from the past summer. And there was some confusion there as to what those numbers represented. So we've put in place quality control checks to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Seeing none, we have, we'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? None? Motion carried unanimously. And we go to number 3, consideration and possible action of Housing Resolution 2018-05-06, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Nogales Housing Authority ratifying the approval of Housing Resolution 2018-04-03, previously approved in a special meeting on 4/18/18. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Second, open for discussion. Okay,
Call for the question, Mayor.
all right, did you have something to say,
Yeah,
Commissioner
basically,
Maldonado?
I wasn't present in that meeting. I was out of town, so just to let everybody know, didn't know what the resolution came about or questioning us.
Is there anything that you'd like to know about it?
Do you want to know why? Is that what-
Yeah.
Oh, the question, we had just a quorum on there, but we had Mr. Yepes on the telephone. You want to
I
explain?
saw that they lost them and couldn't
Go ahead.
get.
Yeah, because not all of us were here. I think we were just barely made quorum
We
by
just barely
phone.
made quorum.
Okay, you want to
So,
explain a
On
little
April
bit?
18th, we held a special meeting because that was what was published in the newspaper, and it was a public hearing for the PHA plans for 2017 and 2018, and then subsequently we would approve those plans as a resolution. During that meeting, we had 4 commissioners present, and we had Mr. Yepes on the phone. He took part of the meeting for just about the entire meeting, except for when we came to the point where we needed to vote on this item. We lost communication and we could not reestablish the communication. So Mr. Kissinger's wanted me to make sure that the ratification for that decision was on tonight's agenda.
That in, kind of explain a little bit, shed a little more light,
I
okay?
saw it.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I call for the question. All those in favor of approving this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, motion carried unanimously. We now go to the director's report. If you'd like to say any few words there, Mr. Martinez?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Commissioners, I provided you with a written report on the 19th of April, and I would entertain any questions you may have at this point.
Okay, open for questions. Anybody comments on the board? Anyone like to say anything? There's none, Director Martinez, so I guess everybody's kind of up to date on things. Again, I guess we've had a little more information than normal, and we're grateful for that from the people that have been coming down, and we want to thank them for their efforts working together with all of us, and also with your help and communicating with us and keeping us up to date on things. We want to thank you for that. And at this point, we're going to go ahead with future agenda items. If anyone has any future agenda items they'd like to place, this is the time to bring them out. That which would probably be more on you, Mr. Director. Is there anything that you'd like to, that you see upcoming on our next agenda?
I don't have anything at this point, but I'm sure something will come up.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then we have Commissioner's report for the board. Anybody that would like to speak out, say something, report on something, you're more than welcome. Go ahead, Commissioner Barón.
We're just gonna get, Mr. Mayor, we're gonna have a meeting of the commission prior to our next meeting in June, so that we can talk about the final deficiencies that we talked about today. Just make sure that it's put on the webpage so that everybody can attend the meeting over there. And maybe we should have it here and not in the conference room.
That's a point well taken. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Do you have anything to say, Commissioner Jose?
Nada más traigo aquí a la mesa un asunto que se vio la semana pasada, digo la junta pasada, que requería poner internet en las colonias del housing. Nos dimos a la tarea de llevar con Alejandro al técnico y al vendedor. Y lo que está pasando es que le van a pasar un proyecto en el cual se puede poner un módem para que en cada colonia para que tengan internet, o se puede poner un módem aquí, y le van a llevar el proyecto a Alex para que autorice cuál es el que más conveniente y que se los traiga aquí a ustedes a que autoricen ese proyecto de poner internet en cada colonia del housing.
Oh, okay. Did you want to interpret that, or do you want me to interpret it?
Right.
Go ahead.
It's whatever
Well,
your
you're
choice
up there
is.
already.
Thank you. In the 4/18/18 meeting, April 18th meeting, Commissioner Hanesian brought up a point about perhaps looking into the possibility of putting internet access at all of our locations for public housing, so that our kids and our families have access to the internet at home. So Mr. Alatorre, the next day after our meeting, he made some calls and brought some people into my office to look into that possibility. They met with me and explained to them what our needs were, and then they've also met with our MIS department here at the city to look at, because there were some questions that could not answer that were technical in nature. So the ball is rolling on that project. Ultimately, if there is an option, it will be presented to the board for approval, but we wanted to make sure that we acted on that suggestion or that plan. So that's what Mr. Alatorre did and helped me out with.
Okay, well, thank you for that interpretation, and thank you, Commissioner Jose, for bringing that message out. Any other comments from the board? Yes, one more from
Mr. Alejandro, those types of costs don't have to be on the capital fund.
Yes, correct. Good question. So if we were to, if it was your desire to fund this project, once it's presented to you, we would first need to amend our 5-year action plan because
That's what
we
I'm
couldn't
saying.
spend any capital fund money unless it's listed on there.
And it's not on right now.
It's
right?
not on, it's not on. But you have the authority as a board to modify the 5-year, or amend, I should say, the 5-year action plan at any time or any meeting.
So in a way, this should have been brought up before we.
Right. But at this point, we're in the infancy stage of this project. We're looking at how viable it is. If we were one big complex, it would be easier. But because we're scattered all over town, Morley, Monte Carlo, Western Avenue, it may not be feasible. But at least we need to find out.
Is that because of the cost of each modem, or
Correct. Just
another related cost?
correct. And then we have some units or some sections where there's only 3 or 4 units. So it may not be the smartest thing to do. So, but we'll get that answer for you. That's at least that's what we're doing at this point. And if that's something you would like to fund, then we'll do the appropriate process to do that.
Well, thank you so much, Director Martinez, for all that information. Are there any other questions from the board or comments?
Traigo una petición también.
Okay,
O sea, lo que requerimos, digamos, en el gimnasio de housing es que hagan más programas de, ahora que vienen de vacaciones los estudiantes y todo eso, probablemente se haga ahí, y pedimos aquí a todos ustedes para que a ver si nos apoyan en poner programas, ya sea deportes, lo que podamos ocupar ahí, lo que es en el gimnasio del housing, porque no hay nada para los niños, están de vacaciones y se la llevan dentro de sus casas y no hacen nada.
Okay.
Entonces es una petición para que aquí con el señor Marcelo y el señor Kissinger se puedan arreglar algo para poder llevar ahí algunos programas de deportes.
Okay, did you want to interpret that,
Sure.
Director?
So what Commissioner Alatorre is saying is that he feels there is a need for us to organize some activities during the summer months for those kids that aren't in school. Sort of an extension of what the summer programs are for Parks and Rec, but kind of take them and utilize our facilities. We have a full gymnasium, and we have some rooms that we can do art classes and whatnot. So what he is requesting, perhaps as not only as commissioners but as council, is for your support to see if we can fund activities like that, maybe an extension of the summer programs that we have currently in place.
Can you look into that then?
Yes.
And try to work together with all of us. See, I think that's very important that we do have programs for the kids during their summer off from school. And I think that's a very good idea. Thank you, Commissioner Jose. Commissioner Varona.
Just to bounce off Mr. Alatorre's comment, and also athletic programs, fine, but also academic programs too, with the computers and everything there.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none, I guess we're coming to the end here. If I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And we have a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Thank you,
Seeing
sir.
none, motion carried unanimously, meeting adjourned.